What does gutsy mean to you, my friend?
It means this. It means this. And it's becoming part of my rebranding. Actually, it's such a, you and I had a quick conversation, beforehand, and I'm like rebranding rebellious, unapologetic, courageous for good reasons, leader.
Welcome to the Gutsy Podcast, the show where you learn how to own what you actually want and shift the mind junk that's been holding you back. I'm Laura Ora, keynote speaker, coach, and your guide to help you get clarity, build confidence, and make the gutsy moves that change your life. Each week, I'm going to help you simplify things by teaching you how to get out of your head while stepping into action. This way, you can achieve all those life shifts that you've been overthinking. Your desire? That drives you. But gutsy? That's what gets it done. What if your obsession with growth is actually the very thing holding you back? Today, I'm sitting down with intuitive business coach Edita Mo to explore the hidden cost of always doing and why so many high achieving women still feel disconnected even after years of personal development. If you've done all the self-help but still feel stuck, built a business that looks good on the outside but feels draining on the inside, or craved a softer, more soul-aligned version of success, this conversation is for you. Edita is an entrepreneur, world-class marketer, copywriter, and coach who helps business owners create wildly successful, soul-aligned businesses without all that grind. She's passionate about timeless strategies, quantum leaps, and doing business from a place of flow, energy, and authenticity. After questioning the limits of traditional personal development, Edita developed a more expansive approach, one rooted in who you are being, not just what you're doing. Her philosophy? When your business feels like play, inspires you daily, and sets you free in the process, that, my friend, is when you've truly made it. And before we dig into this, I got to tell you that I hear this so often with the women that I work with, especially inside of Auraline, which is my mastermind for women that are ready to make the move. Something I hear a lot is, I've done all the right things. I've read all the books. I've gone to all the classes. I have listened to all the podcasts. I have all of the tools, but I'm not using any of them. And if I try to use them, then my brain gets noisy and I get overwhelmed and I talk myself out of it before I even get started. In Auraline, we're taking all of the things that you have learned along the way, and now we're putting them into motion. We're getting very clear about the thing that you want. We're breaking the steps down into simplified next things that you can do. You've got built-in accountability to keep you going when your brain gets noisy, and you've got a small but incredibly mighty group of women cheering you on every step of the way. If this is feeling even remotely interesting to you, then I would invite you to book a free clarity session with me. And you can do that by going to lauraora.com/clarity. Okay, I was particularly interested in this conversation because I'm in the personal growth space. And I was so curious about what Edita's take on this was. And what she shared is absolutely brilliant. So let's get into it. Edita, welcome to the Gutsy Podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Your topic really intrigued me because I'm like, oh, I don't know that we've necessarily gone down this path yet on the Gutsy podcast, which is challenging personal development, which is kind of cool because I'm in the personal development space, but I also know that there are extremes to everything, right? Any topic, any industry, all the things. So I'm super curious to dig into that. But first, I've got to know, what has your journey been like with personal development and getting to where you want to be in business? Because I have to assume that if you're teaching and guiding other women through this, that you have a story of your own through it.
Well, absolutely. As an entrepreneur, obviously it's a very interesting journey. And my background is actually marketing and sales. So obviously, as an entrepreneur and a business owner, I absolutely need to do it for myself. And I guess we'll dive into this. Roughly speaking, I guess the I challenge the personal development, the mainstream personal development. And the reason why is because something dawned on me. Like, I teach strategies to people. I teach methods, I teach marketing, we create marketing campaigns, I do copywriting, I teach copy. And I started noticing something that it doesn't matter what strategy you give to people, there are always different results. And I was wondering, why do different people with the same strategy get different results? And you probably know this and you will probably agree that most people, unfortunately, in the industry are not getting any results,
Yeah.
right? They drop strategies. So I was wondering what is going on. And I started noticing a pattern. And I saw that people don't become the person who can execute a strategy. So I saw that in other people, and then I saw that in myself. And I am a strategy person, and I was wondering, I am doing all the things. I am teaching other people. Why am I not myself where I would like to be at this stage? Well, that was like a while ago now, you know. And then something even more interesting happened. So after, I remember roughly maybe 3 years ago at this stage, I was, actually we moved the countries. I used to live in Ireland with my family. I lived in Ireland for 17 years, moved back. My business kind of went on pause in the meantime, and I was sitting and wondering, how do I pick up my business? Again, like, gain momentum. And I was like, it's not a strategy, it's work on myself, So I decided to approach it very differently, and I did. So I picked up again the Think and Grow Rich, those kind of things. And then I remember doing a challenge with Benjamin Hardy, who wrote the book 10x is easier than 2x, together with Dan Sullivan. It was very cool. And I was getting a lot of results and I was getting a lot of ahas and still didn't feel completely that until one day I was sitting on the couch here at home and basically recovering from a long night at somebody's birthday. And I was binge watching YouTube videos. I was in this very relaxed state of mind, probably, one of those days, not making any plans, not expecting anything to happen. And then I started getting these insights. Oh my God. I you wouldn't want this for your daughter. And I have a daughter, she's 8 right now. And then the second thought was, if it's so bad, why are you doing this to yourself?
Yeah.
And I was like, it was painful. It was very, very painful. But in that moment, I started getting this, very new energy coming from somewhere and realizing, oh my God, everything is coming from how I feel about myself. Everything is coming from the subconsciousness, not from that surface level. And I realized that the whole industry, a lot of it, is about of becoming the person or somebody who can do the thing, you know, just deals with that at the very surface level, and it still tries to modify your behavior rather than, or convince you to modify your behavior rather than getting, doing the work on the subconscious level where that behavior gets modified automatically. For example, like, that as an entrepreneur, many people, they deal with rejection. They have to deal with rejection. So the conventional personal development will tell you get over it, push through it, overcome it, convince yourself to do it anyway. Where when you do work on the subconscious level, do the reprogramming, it just fall that fear of rejection just falls away. It disappears. It dissolves, you know. And then there was this other interesting thing that actually came through with those insights was the difference between self-worth, the sense of self-worth, and confidence. Everyone is trying to become confident, but then again, it's just convincing yourself, I'm good enough, I know this stuff, I'm an expert, I can do it. Whereas self worth is this sense, feeling that has nothing to do with any logic. You know, it's when you know that you are worthy just because you are, and when you look at your kids, if somebody, listening has children, or if you can think about yourself when you were like 5 or 6 and look that person in the eye and tell them, you cannot have this, you can't be that, you know, you can't do it. This is not for you. You're not worthy. You would never say that to a 5-year old,
Right.
right? So at what point of your life you stopped believing that you are worthy just because you are here, just because the universe put you here, just because you came to this physical existence, you know?
Yeah. So, worthiness is a big topic, right? A lot of people struggle with that, talk about it, research it, work with it. How do you build that sense of worthiness when you truly don't believe that you are worthy? Like, how do you go about feeling worthy when you don't?
Very good topic and very good question. And I don't think it's a very straightforward thing to answer because it's more about, I guess, this is where I started flipping the script, and that's what I talk about, in my methods now, my marketing methods. It's not about becoming, it's not about building, it's not about creating, it's about remembering who you are. It's about, even if it helps you, even if it helps you thinking about your children or thinking about the time when you were 5. Some people use this. Sometimes I still find myself, resisting something. Let's say I want to reach out to somebody and I feel resistance, or I want to post something a bit more edgy, bolder, whatever, and I'm like, oh, what are these people gonna think about it? And then I remember I think about my daughter, and I'm like, okay, so what would I want my daughter to do? Would I want my daughter to stop doing this because XYZ person, XYZ bully, XYZ hater might have an opinion, somebody who's not even thinking at that same level?
Yeah.
Would I want my daughter not to achieve her goals and dreams because these other people might have an opinion? You know, and that actually helps me straight away. So that's the short answer, but the long answer, obviously, there are so many different modalities, from breath work to meditation to NLP to hypnosis and all those kind of things. So I guess when I work with my clients, I give them advice on these kind of things, but I know from myself as well that different modalities work for different people and also at different times.
Yeah.
I have this go-to, actually, a go-to method, if you are interested, that
Yeah.
uh, I am doing because it's always available. So breath work is always available, breathing, like I encourage my daughter to, let's say if she gets scared or angry, whatever, or she's in pain, even physical pain, I remind her to breathe. But there is this Hawaiian method. I don't know if you heard about it. It's called Ho'oponopono.
Yes.
It's so effective. And I do it before I even, before a session with a client as well. It helps like for all sorts of things.
Would you be willing to share what that sounds like for you?
Yeah, and you just say four things and you say it to what also helps, and I think, about the whole thing about forgiveness and sense of guilt and asking for forgiveness or saying sorry. A lot of people have resistance to that. So I like this method because you say it to the universe or to the existence or whatever it is you believe in. So you simply say, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I kind of trained myself to say this, uh, especially in moments like right now, it automatically gets triggered when something I'm not quite happy about starts happening, like negative thoughts or some situation where I'm normally reactive to, like I don't know, whatever might trigger me. And this switches on straight away and it's magic. I don't know. I don't know, like maybe it wouldn't work the same way for other people, but it works magic for me.
I think the biggest thing here is finding what works for you and being open to experimenting with different modalities to figure that out. Because a lot of people like they might try one thing and they're like, "Oh, that didn't work," and then 2 years goes by and you're still having the same challenge. Whereas you one of I mean the first part of the first part of shifting this is being open and creative to experimenting, right? To let go of the expectation that this is going to work immediately, or I have to have it figured out, or I have to have it mastered, right? Like it might be very easy to think, oh, I don't, what are those four things? I don't remember that. How am I supposed to remember
Mm.
that? Like, but you practice. I'm sure you wrote it down at some point. I'm sure you looked at it for a little while before it just became a new subconscious thought.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Absolutely. We somehow get trapped in this idea, okay, consistency. Like, in our society, the way they teach consistency, finish what you started. Obviously, we are programmed for so-called consistency, even if it's not working.
Yeah.
So, like, observe your energy. Observe, what is happening for you. For example, when I was reading, the Think and Grow Rich book, and there is a statement you write down, you read it every night and every morning. And I'm like, I don't know. I was doing it, I'm doing it, I'm doing it, and I'm not feeling anything. Well, that's the thing. You need to see if you are feeling something and what you are feeling when you are doing that exercise. Because if you're not, means it's not reaching your subconscious,
Mm.
and that means it's not working. In fact, it actually might work against you. And the reason for that is because our body and our subconscious is designed to keep us safe, right? And so whatever comes out from your consciousness, from your thoughts and your words, if it's something your body doesn't recognize, it might be dangerous and it will do everything to protect you. So you might be actually, well, I don't want to overuse the word trauma, but you might be encouraging that or adding to the existing one, you know.
How would somebody know the difference if it's working for you or maybe against you? Just so we have some cues to look out for.
Well, it's literally watching yourself. That's what I believe. I mean, and I know that, and especially for women do have intuition. The problem is that that intuition is hidden. So for many women because we are taught to operate from logic. Our whole society is like that, you know? And so I want to encourage women to start paying attention. And it's not something like you might start feeling tomorrow and it's okay, but if you start practicing it, you know, it's enough to just be aware that it exists. Your body speaks. So I did ever since I did quite a lot of, you know, things on myself, and I did programs on working with people's limiting beliefs. So it's not new anymore that your body speaks. Your body knows everything. So you might have a thought and you might feel a reaction somewhere in your body, like I don't know, your thighs contracting or heaviness in your chest. Like, and that will tell you a lot,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, your body is always communicating.
Yeah,
We just have to be open and willing to listen to it, to first even acknowledge it.
exactly.
I mean, so many women are on autopilot, just going and doing and checking the boxes and getting through the day and all this. So a lot of women don't even notice what their body is saying because they've gotten used to ignoring it, not necessarily on purpose, but just because life has filled so many other things in the cracks.
And especially women's body, because we get so many signals about what's going on. I years and years ago, I read somewhere that women are way more sensitive to pain, physical pain, but they can handle them better. And when you think about it, having babies and all sorts of other things, right?
Yeah.
That's our nature. So our body is speaking to us, big time, all the time. And yes, and I have to admit, even though spirituality, meditation existed in my life for many, many years, somehow it wasn't coming through in my business. I was actually doing the conventional personal development. I somehow I had this blind spot about spirituality. Now, again, there's this other thing about spirituality, that there's a lot of fake stuff as well, and because it's so intangible, it's very hard to measure it, so it's easy to get attracted to something that is not necessarily real or helpful as
Right.
well, you
Right.
know. But this body language and your body speaking is huge. It's huge. So I think this, and it's something that everyone can start watching.
Yeah, it's free and accessible
Yeah,
24 hours a day.
yeah.
I'm kind of curious. You mentioned that you were doing some conventional personal development stuff and it wasn't quite working. What would you consider conventional personal development? What were some of the things that you were doing that was not quite getting you to where you want to be?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it wasn't working. It took me to some point, for sure.
Mm,
You know, I I achieved things, and you know, I traveled quite far with this conventional personal development, but um, well, see, it's an interesting one, right? So my very first coach, I remember, and I see this advice all over the place still from other gurus and people. So I remember my very first coach was saying, you know, you need to isolate yourself from your social life, from everything, blah, 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 make sacrifices for about 2 years. He was telling about how he did it, how he stopped everything, basically stopped life for about 2 years when he first started on his own journey back in the day, right? And so I was doing it. I was doing it. What I was not realizing at the time was I had a baby on my hip. I was holding all the four corners of the house. I was cooking. I started a business when I had a baby on my hip, when I needed to cook, when I needed to watch all the trainings. I needed to pause those videos every 10 seconds because I couldn't hear anything because of my daughter, or the pot was overflowing. Then I dragged the pot on the counter and I burned the counter, and all these things are happening all at once. And I'm, trying to get this business to take off. And I did an amazing job. I cannot believe it, right? However, however, it was such a grind. And because, and high achievers, high achieving women, they trap themselves in this grind without even noticing it,
Yeah.
right? So I wouldn't say it was not working, but I had to make sacrifices and I had to lose myself because at some point, now, quite a few years ago, right, I was sitting and I'm thinking, it sounds amazing when they tell you just do you. And I was so happy when they told me when I switched from corporate to entrepreneurship. Now I can be myself. Now I can be authentic, as opposed to the all the politics in the office and all that kind of stuff. I had an amazing IT career, but it was office stuff, you know. And I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. But who is it I am? Just do you. Who am I supposed to do? Like I told you,
I don't even know who that is.
right? So the point that I was trying to make about telling the story about the first coach. See, I had a baby on the hip, all the laundry and all the stuff. He didn't have a family. He
Yeah.
didn't have any responsibilities. And his idea of starting a business and personal development, it was go, 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 push, 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 push. You know, logic, 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 masculine, blah, blah, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And at that time, I didn't know. I didn't realize.
Auraline is the supportive space that you step into when you are ready to commit to making the move. A woman recently joined because she's ready to make a career change. She has done all the right things. She's got a good job, it pays the bills, everything on paper looks fantastic, except on the inside, she feels like she's falling apart. She's like, Laura, I'm not proud of my work. This isn't my calling. I feel like I'm underutilizing my skills and abilities. It's not a bad job. I just have more to give. She's been wavering back and forth for years about what to do and if she's going to leave. And by joining Auraline, she has committed to, I am going to make a change. I am declaring that this is no longer working for me, and now I'm going to put my time and attention to figure out what is. And inside of Auraline, that's what we're focusing on. See, in this space, you don't have to have it all figured out. That's what the space is for. You just have to be ready and willing to commit to whatever that change is going to be. If you're done thinking about it, if you're tired of wavering back and forth and you're ready to go all in on yourself, then Auraline is for you. You can sign up and read more at lauraora.com/mastermind. I see that all the time especially in the coaching industry, especially in personal development. I did this, it worked, and now I'm going to give you the formula to replicate my success.
Exactly.
And while there are pieces, certainly, that can be successful, success is not a copy, paste, repeat situation because there's no two people that are living the same lives. There's no two people that have the exact same calling. They're not in the same timeline. They don't have the same life circumstances. They don't have the same health circumstances, right? It drives me batshit crazy when it's like, oh, just do this and then you'll get that. You've been in marketing. That happens so much in the marketing space where it's like, oh, if you just do these marketing things, then you're going to replicate my success. And I'm like, total bullshit. Total bullshit. I will call it every
Totally.
single day. Again, I'm on a little bit of a soapbox here for a second. There are pieces that can work. There are methods that can work. There are techniques that can work. But you cannot replicate somebody else's success and expect to have the same
I
result.
love you saying that. I was spinning this message at some point as well. The famous advice, Find somebody who has what you want and do what they do. So, my first question to this is, how do I know what they do?
Yeah.
Like you can imagine, right? So what we see is one thing. What's going on in backstage? It's a completely different. All the and also the background. Where did you come from? Like I came from with one set of fears. You came with a different set of fears. I came from. I grew up in the Soviet Union, so though you tell me how to get out of that mindset, and things like that. And then also the methods, like even now there's one famous, I don't know if I can mention names here, but I mean this one famous marketer who I used to agree with, like almost everything he would say. I used to like agree. And yes, he does amazing things. He does amazing things. But his approach to building a business is just repeat this 1,000 times, repeat this 10,000 times. Like he doesn't have children,
Right.
right?
Yeah, and I think that that's where it's easy and flashy to want to follow what somebody else has already figured out, because then that seemingly takes all that time and energy away from you. Right? Oh, I don't have to figure it out because somebody already has. Where it becomes, I mean, there's a lot of issues with that. I mean, we all are on our own journey. We have to have our own experiences. We come from different backgrounds. Our access levels are very different. Like there's just so many different variables. And what I think is so important is personal discernment, right? You can be inspired by somebody. I'd like to hope and say and think that I inspire a lot of people on a regular basis through this podcast and the work that I do.
Absolutely.
I don't want a single person to copy anything that I did.
Hmm.
Do not do that. I will come knock on your door and shake you around for a hot second, give you a hug, and tell you to get back on your own path, right? Like take what feels good, take what feels interesting, be inspired, be influenced, maybe capture some information that helps to clarify something or simplify something or helps you see something that you didn't know before. But you've got to use your own discernment to what works for
Hmm.
you. I think that that's where it gets mixed up with like the personal development or business development or any kind of development for that matter. Is it's not fulfilling. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's maybe where you were in your story, where like you were doing all the things, you were getting some success, but it was not fulfilling and it was not sustainable because it was not yours.
More than anything,
Yeah.
I wanted to feel myself
Yeah.
because I knew if I don't, I'm not stepping into my power. And I am like if I am in my power, watch me. And I know that. However, I knew that I was not in that place. I totally lost myself. Like, the daily thing, the daily grind, I get things done, I tick the boxes, but I don't, it's like off, this constant. And then more than that, I could not pinpoint how to find myself again. Like it was very hard to even, where do we even start? So luckily, then suddenly it started coming to me very, uh, it wasn't causal, like it didn't come from logic. So I'm lucky it happened.
Well, how does somebody find themselves again? Because I'm certain somebody's listening right now and being like, okay, I'm there, I'm facing that head on, but I don't even know where to begin. I don't know who I am. I don't know who I want to be.
So I want to make 2 points actually, right? And I was thinking this when I was listening to you. So first of all, I want people to know, I want women to know that there are so many ways to get to the place you want to get to. So many ways. My whole marketing approach now is based on that. There is leverage. You don't have to do like, I talk about invisible load at home. I talk about invisible load in business as well. In marketing, there are so many shitty strategies. I work inside of world-class marketing teams. There are so many shitty methods and strategies. so many strategies that are causing you to work more on top what you're already doing, and they're not giving you results. But there's things like leverage. There's things where you can do volume, but you can actually do small steps and get very big results. That exists. So I want everyone to hear that. Like, this is one of those passions that I have, bringing this message. And I'm regrouping. I was mentioning I'm regrouping, I'm rebranding. Basically, I'm coming out with some new face, public face. So that's very exciting. There are way better strategies than those gurus are teaching, many of them. So that's that. But then, how do you find yourself? And this is a weird, really, maybe weird, maybe not. I don't know. But when those insights started coming to me, they started coming to me as I was binge watching almost randomly something along those lines on YouTube. And then I realized, and then I discovered all this other world. And I think the easiest way that you can do is surround yourself with people who are in the energetically that like you feel drawn to energetically, right? And not necessarily even like literally being in the room, although it helps, absolutely is the best way that you can do. But what I mean is also, even following people, watching them. Like, I need that now much less. But in the beginning, when all those downloads started happening and I was in that space, like when things were integrating, like, it's one thing to realize something and get insights. It's another thing to integrate those things into, your practical actions and life and, all the stuff. So if I feel that something starts going off, like, and I'm not feeling myself or whatever, and I go listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video of somebody who is helping me energetically, just listening, even if it's quite mindless listening, but like drinking that energy. So select a few people who affect you that way. And I think that used to be my go-to, if something starts feeling off,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that absorbing the good energy. It's being, even if you can't pinpoint why or what they do has nothing to do with what you do, but there's something about them that makes you feel excited or ignited or plugged in, or you start getting ideas again. That's a really powerful thing because it helps to interrupt that pattern that we get stuck in of the day to day. It helps to like pull you up and out for, even if it's 20 minutes, and it helps you to see things from a different perspective. It helps you to remember that there's more beyond what you're sitting in right now.
And very often, so often, I start watching something for that purpose. 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh my God, I know. And I run to my laptop, write something down or, execute something, straight away it can unlock things very, very quickly. And then again, all the different modalities there are, there's meditation. So historically, I'm into meditation, but like right now, there are so many other things, much, well, faster things, like work with energies. What I love about how everything is, evolving is that science is joining all this spirituality and the energy thing. So many scientists are already working on this kind of stuff. So for somebody who perceives things through logic, this is very helpful, I think. Like meditation, whatever is going on, like with our subconscious, is no longer woo, it's scientific fact, and there's more and more and more and more coming. So it's very exciting for me to see this stuff, obviously, you
Yeah.
know. So there's a number. Joe Dispenza would be one of them, like the most the biggest name, I guess, who explains things quite logically, yet very powerfully, but there are so many more now, which is really, really cool.
For sure. I think this comes back to the earlier conversation around worthiness and even giving yourself and making time to do those things
Yeah.
because we have tools at our disposal almost all the time. Whether it's a little tool or a big tool or a basket full of tools, like we have access to those things, but we have to use them.
Yeah, I do believe though, like every entrepreneur, every business owner needs to be on the personal growth path and you need to make it your like almost hobby. Like it kind of needs to blend like what you do in life, your views and how you work on yourself kind of needs to blend with what you do in your business. That's my personal uh, belief.
I agree. And I also think that a lot of people don't go into business to be on a personal development journey, but find out that they end up on one.
Absolutely.
Friend, if you are in business, your personal shit is not going away. It is coming front and center. I don't care who you are, what you're doing, how long you've been doing it. It is part of the gig, period. If you want to succeed and have like the fulfilling success, right? The kind that like feels really good, it's sustainable, people don't get to that stuff by just dabbling and it just magically
Mm-mm.
works. I mean, there's some depth. There's a lot of depth in this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I got started, I knew it was gonna be different. I didn't know how it was gonna be different. It's the same.
Listen, we the universe protects us by not giving us too much information too soon because how many people
Mm.
would just turn around and walk away
And they do.
if they knew what they were really getting into?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, what a mess at some point. Like a mess. It's a beautiful mess. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful mess. I would never turn back. I would never stop doing this. I mean, because yes, it can get tough. It could be easier with the right knowledge and resources and the right coaches who are not telling you to basically grind into wee hours when you're already not sleeping because you have a baby, so but
Absolutely.
uh but the rewards and like I think the other thing is finding your why, however cliche it might sound, because if you think money, 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 wealth, 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 well, actually, since I'm on this now, the way I used to understand my why or the purpose was more like when I'm rich, when I'm wealthy, I'm gonna do this with the money, and that used to be my why. And at some point I realized that it's this actually is the opposite. What am I gonna do? What is my why so that when I do it, success comes, wealth comes, riches come, you know. So your why actually comes first, not when you achieve this or that, you know.
Well, yeah, because I can imagine, and I've been in this position myself, that if you don't lead with the why and you lead with the success or whatever other marker you're working towards, you often end up getting that without feeling fulfilled because it's not grounded in a why. It's not truly what you want to be doing or how you want to be doing it. You can achieve success and be pretty miserable. I mean, that happens more often than not.
Yeah, and then just to add to that is that question what your coaches are telling you, what your why needs to be or what your goals need to be.
Yeah.
Like have your own filters up. I mean, advice is good, you know? It depends on I mean, it's also a skill to to know if this person is a good fit for you to coach you. You know,
Absolutely.
it's also a skill, I guess. It's a learning curve. It could be, I had some coaches even later on my journey where I'm like, if I think about them, I'm like, I have these shivers. Oh my God. Oh my God. What happened?
Sometimes we learn the best through going through those situations and making mistakes. And, I think that we gather everything that we need. I mean, you
Mm.
learned very quickly what worked for you and what didn't. And now you know. I mean, it's probably very glaringly obvious now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's amazing, amazing. Yeah.
Anita, this has been such a cool conversation, and I appreciate the openness about just exploring different avenues of personal development and working with it. I want to make sure everyone knows where they can find and connect with you. So, where is the best place to find you?
Yeah, so I work with women entrepreneurs who are creating, and thanks for asking about this. So women entrepreneurs who are creating a life on their own terms and they know about it, and yet they are capped by invisible load in life and inefficient strategies and shitty strategies. So I have a high velocity revenue model that allows them to uncap wealth very, very quickly. So you can create your financial independence, whatever the situation is in your life. Because I basically, I know so many women who are trying to escape certain situations, but they just can't because they're so overloaded. And also, the other thing is whatever you want to model for your children to show them how they can have whatever the hell they want to have by doing what they love. So, revenue model, high velocity revenue model. And if you want to see it, you can go to www.shiftowealthlive.com.
Amazing. We'll link that in the show notes. I got to ask you, what does gutsy mean to you, my friend?
It means this. It means this. And it's becoming part of my rebranding, actually.
Yeah,
It's
love
such
it.
a, you and I had a quick conversation, beforehand, and I'm like rebranding rebellious, unapologetic, courageous for good reasons, leader.
I loved the reminder through this episode of being rather than doing. Gosh, we have gotten so trained into performing and doing and checking things off the list that we have forgotten to really embody the work that we're in, being in those moments. If you've got a friend or a colleague in your life that you know has been doing all the right self-help things but still is just not landing where she wants to be, then I would encourage you to send this episode to her. You just never know when one sentence or one conversation might spark a change in someone else's life. Come tell me what you thought. I'm on all the social platforms. You can find me using @thatlauraora. And as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.